couple days ago, I got this comment on my last video. Can you make a video on how to quit corn? I decided I would honor this fine young man's request, but I ended up getting about halfway through the script and decided to trash it. Because if I'm honest, I'm pretty sure I can just get you to quit any bad habit instead of just one. And this way, I also don't have to put fucking porn in the title. You see, whether it's social media, video games, porn, fucking junk food, alcohol, weed, all these things latch onto your brain in pretty much the same way. Which means if you can implement a system to quit one of them, you can use that same system to quit all of them. So here we are, how to quit any bad habit forever. All right, first we got to start off with your mindset. And before you click off because you think it's some bullshit talking about mental health or whatever, let me remind you that if your brain was perfect and did exactly what would be best for you all the time, then you would be living at your 100% potential all the time. So just like everything else, your mindset towards quitting bad habits is really important. That being said, let me ask you something. If you spent the last fucking decade building up a habit, then why do you think you can just suddenly quit tomorrow? You wouldn't expect to get Rich Piana's physique with just one 8-hour arm day. So why would you expect your brain to completely rewire itself overnight? It's just physics, bro. An object in motion stays in motion. Believe me, I wish we could all just stick with that 2 a.m. motivation burst after a random Friday night where you didn't get invited to anything and instantly change our lives, but we can't. If that was possible, everybody would already be great. We've all had those moments where you decide that tomorrow's the day. So you wake up, you feel motivated till like 4 o'clock, and then you're back to scrolling and eating fucking cinnamon rolls. So it's really important that you stop thinking that one of these random moments or bursts of motivation is gonna suddenly be the catalyst to the rest of your life being immensely successful, because it just won't. And constantly holding out hope that maybe just one of these moments you're actually gonna stick with the things you set out to do is preventing you from making any real consistent progress. The only exception to this rule is maybe you had some life-changing event that suddenly fucking turns on your switch. Like if your fucking best friend or your brother is on his deathbed and his dying wish is for you to stop jerking off, like you'll probably stop. Unless you're like a turbo wanker, then that would probably be enough motivation in one moment for you to change your life, right? But scratch all that, because that's definitely not going to happen to you. So you just forget about that. But anyways, if motivation isn't the answer, then what is? And don't worry, I'm not just going to say discipline and you got to stay disciplined or whatever, because it's fucking this basic level advice. Let's say you had a little brother and his goal one day was to bench 300 pounds. So it's your job to get him in the gym and start training, right? You wouldn't just tell him on day one to go on the bar, load up fucking 3 plates and try it, right? Unless you're retarded or you just like really don't like him. If you actually wanted him to succeed, maybe you would have him start with the empty bar. And then next week you would add 5 pounds. And then the week after that, 5 more. And then 5 more and 5 more and so on until he gets it. I'm assuming you and pretty much everybody else understands this concept of progressive overload in the context of the gym. But the thing is, almost nobody comes to the realization that you can apply this principle to every other area of your life. Think back to the first time you learned to drive. You probably started in like an empty parking lot and then eventually worked your way to maybe neighborhood roads, then some surface streets, and then eventually like freeways and busy highways. If you think about it, that's technically progressive overload. Every skill you've ever learned was built up this exact way, and that's the most important part. Progressive overload isn't just a muscle growth principle, it's a skill growth principle. Like I said, 99% of people can't just quit all their vices with one thought. Otherwise, everyone wouldn't be fat, no one would be addicted to social media, and we would all be achieving our goals, living our best life because of the simple decision of wanting to. But as we all know, that's not how it works. So using progressive overload, you can break your bad habits by growing your willpower skill or build new habits by growing your discipline skill. It's crucial that you have this slow and incremental progress over time. It's just like the gym. And the best part is that it won't even feel hard because the change you implement every day is going to be so little and spread across so many months that you'll just get used to it and it'll become normal. And once you become comfortable and normalized to something, you can make it harder. That's exactly how you get stronger in the gym. And it's also exactly how you get stronger in life. Let me throw out some practical examples here to help you better understand. Let's say you want to stop drinking and you drink on average about 4 nights every week. If next month you just make it 3 nights instead of 4, you're already 25% less of an alcoholic. And if every 2 months, which is plenty of time to get used to the change, you reduce that number by the same amount, then in less than a year, you'll be completely done drinking. I did this exact thing with my screen time. About 8 months ago, I probably had a daily average of like 7 hours, which honestly, considering like most people people, that's not even that bad. But obviously it was completely unregulated and sapping up all my free time. So I decided that the next month I would only be on my phone for 6 hours out of the day. Now that's still a ton of wasted time, like way too much, but I stuck with the progressive overload method, and as of the time of recording this video, July 1st, I finished June with only 2 hours a day on my phone. And next month, I'm shooting for only 1.5. Now I could totally see how you would think that one less hour of screen isn't gonna do anything, or one less drink every night isn't gonna do anything, but it's really important that you remember you're a beginner in quitting this bad habit. Over time, if you apply a small, consistent change and actually stick with it, that's gonna be infinitely better than trying to cut everything off cold turkey and then relapsing every couple of days. When I first got in the gym, I always wanted to bench 315, but I didn't just fucking load up the bar and try right away because I thought benching the bar was beneath me. I let go of my ego because I realized I was a beginner. I was a skinny little kid in the habit of the gym. Over time, I knew that if I just added weight and progressively overload, I would eventually get it. And after 4.5 years, I did. But I promise I would have never hit it if I just every week loaded up the bar with 3 plates and tried to bench it and then failed and then tried the next week again. It doesn't work like that in the gym, and it doesn't work like that in any other area of your life. So instead of quitting social media, think about maybe just deleting one app. Or instead of saying you're gonna change your fucking diet and it's gonna be perfect for the rest of your life, maybe start by just hitting your protein every day. The catalyst of your life changing is never gonna be some one-time huge hard task like, oh, I run this marathon, I'm in shape for the rest of my life. Real change comes from the consistent little progressively overloaded tasks that you do every day or don't do every day. And don't get this misconstrued. I'm not saying just do the fucking bare minimum and be average for the rest of your life because it's easier and you'll be more consistent with it. What I'm saying is that if you've had those moments where you think suddenly tomorrow is the day where you are infinitely more willpowered and disciplined than your current self and it just doesn't last, it's probably not because of like your motivation level, it's just because it's too hard. Like, it doesn't matter how fucking motivated I am to bench 500 pounds, it's not gonna happen. Not yet, at least. I mean, you gotta give me a couple years. But the point is, maybe you should lower the barrier to entry for what you call success, so then you can actually get consistent with that and then overload it and get consistent with harder and harder levels. If that doesn't make sense, I don't know what will, but what I do know is that if you actually follow this advice, you will quit your bad habits. So, that being said, as an action step, I want you to pick one bad habit in your life that you want to quit. Let's take the guy from the comment in the beginning of the video. Let's say that you really are a master baiter and you're jerking it like 30 times a month, so literally every day. Next month, shoot for only 20 times. Now, obviously, that's still a lot of fucking fapping, but the important part is that it's 30% less, which is huge progress. To put that in perspective, imagine if your bench went from 200 pounds to 260 pounds in just 1 month. That would be insane. And because a month is so long and you have so many days to spread out your willpower, doing it only 20 times won't even feel that hard compared to doing it 30 times. Eventually, if you just keep progressively overloading your wanking habits from, let's say, I don't know, 30 to 20 to 15 to 10, 5, 3, 1, then not only have you pretty much completely quit your addiction in only 6 months, but because you did it slowly and over time, you've built up that willpower skill, which means you'll never be a fucking turbo wanker again. So I hope you're actually gonna try that because I do think it really will work. To end off this video, I wanna kind of tie things back to the psychological aspects of bad habits. I think it's really important to realize that in order to quit bad habits, you got to realize why you're doing them in the first place. Let's say you're addicted to video games. I used to be so fucking addicted to Minecraft. I would be in class thinking about what I wanted to build, on my way home thinking about what I was going to do in the world. Obviously, while I was playing, I was just thinking about it all the time. But I don't think I was actually addicted to Minecraft or video games as a whole. What was the actual root cause addiction was the feeling of progress. I had this deep desire to obsess and progress over goals that I've set for myself. Now, because at the time I didn't really have anything else in my life to progress towards, having a cool built up Minecraft world was just the most easily accessible outlet for that desire for progress. But then I ended up finding out about the gym, a healthy, productive habit that I could obsess over and progress towards in that same kind of linear fashion. The point I'm trying to make here is that your bad habits usually stem from a lack of good habits. If you're addicted to the bad habit of porn, then maybe you should focus on building up the good habit of having daily interactions with real girls. Like, you really think you would be watching porn every day if you had a fucking wife? Like, probably not. Or in another case, if you're addicted to video games, maybe instead of trying to beat the high score online, try to beat your high score of your last fucking bicep curl, you know? I don't have any crazy finishing line for this video, but that's gonna be it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you actually take the advice, and remember, be all that you can be.